And it's back to live racing now. Unlimited's Heat 2B. Here are the storylines. Dave Villwock desperately wants to win back here in his hometown again, and he's got the best boat. Jimmy Shane, though, the youngest driver in the field. Will he be competitive in the Formula boat? And Jean Theoret, the two-time champ, he'd love to make it 3. In the Beacon boat, it's Heat 2B.
Heat 2B of the Chevy Cup at Seafair is brought to you by the Boeing Company. And it's presented for Seafair by Time. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Time.
Here are the 6 boats in your 2B heat for the Unlimiteds. The Elam Plus, Formula Boats, Graham Trucking, Our Gang Racing, Beacon Plumbing, and Albert Lee presents Lake Ridge Paving. Taking a look at the course, the boats are getting into position with just under 2.5 minutes to go, and we'll take a look at the drivers in those boats right now out on the lake. And first up is the 8-time winner at Lake Washington, Dave Villwock. Michael.
Smartest thing he could do today would be just to get out of everybody's way. If he can win it, to get it from the outside. If he can't win it, let whoever else wins, but make sure he finishes. That's what Dave's job is in this heat.
Another one of those red boats, the formulaboats.com. Jimmy Shane, a youngster, but he doesn't drive like one, Chip.
But he's kind of the second string guy at Formula. He would like to show something here, so maybe he could be thought of as first string instead of Jeff Bernard.
In the Graham Trucking boat, J. Michael Kelly with a 3rd at Seafair last year.
One of those rising stars in the sport of hydroplane racing. Doesn't quite have the boat speed, but he certainly has the skill of anybody else out here. And if there is a spoiler in this heat, that would be your one.
Former driver Nate Brown is now the manager, and his nephew Kip Brown is at the controls of the Our Gang Racing boat.
This is the first time he gets to race without a leash. He was a rookie last week in Tri-Cities. Now he can race to win.
And we kind of jumped over him. We're now looking at the Miss Beacon Plumbing, Jean Theoret, 2 of the last 3 Seafairs. He's won them, Michael.
And Jean Theoret is going to try a different starting style here. He's going to try to squeeze in. Nope, this time he decided to go outside.
We got a boat down. We got
the 13 boat is overspun there, and he's still running. But we've got possibility of some official problems here with respect to the creeping that was just going on there. Dave Villwock may be one of the violators.
Lake Ridge Paving, that's David Williams. He's the curator of the museum. They're having all kinds of problems with the steering on that boat. He's in survival mode.
And in the meantime, Jack in the Box congratulates the fastest qualifier for E2B. It'll be the Ballard boat, the orange Elam. Dave Villwock took it around the course in qualification at 155.249 miles an hour. And for the best in fast food, be it Ballard or anywhere, anytime, stop at your nearest Jack in the Box today.
Elam will have the inside. It'll be Theoret in lane number 2, Kip Brown in lane 3, J. Michael Kelly in the 4th lane. On the outside, it's going to be the rookie and the museum curator. Into the first corner, though, the boats to watch are the ones that are just slightly back. Kip Brown got a great ride into that corner, but it's the 2 guys inside of him to his left that you're going to want to watch coming off here. And right now, Dave Villwock's got the lead from the inside. Theoret has to ask himself, can I run this guy down? Do I want to even try?
I think the story here is the boat you're looking at, well, you were just looking at Kip Brown. He showed the old masters how to make starts. He had those guys handled at the start.
Absolutely did. Up in the upper corner now, it is Dave Villwock in the Elam Plus, the bright orange boat, coming off the exit pin now out front. And it appears that the decision has been made by Jean Theoret, which is to let him have it unless he makes a mistake, keep the pressure on. But Kip Brown has a different agenda. He's going to try to run down Jean Theoret in 3rd position here, and he's looking very strong in that effort right at the moment.
We understand that he may have jumped the gun. We don't have an official word on it yet, but Kip Brown may have jumped the gun. If he didn't jump the gun, it was a perfect start. Sounds like the 17, which is Kip Brown, will be getting a 1-lap penalty for jumping the gun. So almost perfect, but almost doesn't count at the start.
Although that's the kind of thing you learn something about. You jump the gun in a situation like that. You never do it a second time, but you understand 1 tick back is a perfect start. And that would be a lesson that he's certainly going to register away in his mind as an upcoming rookie.
Villwock turned that first lap at 146.308. He's coming down now for the The second lap speed will be 137.077.
Dropped it down the water a lot rougher now. Theoret has decided, looks like Jim Hanauer, to give Villwock that ground and just simply pick up the 300 points, which he desperately will need to mount an attack for the third heat and final.
Mike, explain to me why Dave Villwock would have tried so hard to get the inside lane on a heat that really didn't count.
I think in this particular case, it's because he hasn't raced these guys very much, and he knows that getting the inside lane by the final heat is going to be very, very important. He hadn't a chance under the new rules to try to dice with these guys before the start, and so I think that's probably why he did it. Had he not been successful, he probably would be where Theoret is right at the moment. Right now, however, he is where you love to be, which is, of course, out front, and the checkered flag is showing for Dave Villwock, the Elam, keeping it perfect with another heat victory, this one in Heat 2B.
John Theoret finishing second, but I have to go with Jeff Bernard. If you remember an interview a few minutes ago, he said he showed his hand to get the inside lane, and that's a detriment. So I'm surprised that Dave Villwock showed his hand to all people, John Theoret.
Well, as you know, Chip, it's been John Theoret who has kind of been in his head for the last couple of years. The few times that the Elam has been up against it, John Theoret usually was the author of their problem.
He was, well put, author of their problem. Kip Brown, I think, is going to get a little bit of a talking to from his uncle. But if I was his uncle, Nate Brown, I wouldn't beat him up too bad. I'd give him some gold stars for trying. You know, you got to be at the line, and when you try that hard, sometimes you can go over. So I think it was a lesson well learned, and I give him a lot of credit for being up there.
So everybody started, but only 4 of the 5 finished. We lost, or 4 of the 6, I should say, finished. We lost David Williams, who is drifting in the infield just about the start-finish line after a second lap in that Lakewood paving boat. He's had some problems, as Chip mentioned, all weekend long out here. Dave Villwock goes back to the pit area now with a perfect 2 heat victories now, 800 points.
Mike, let's take a look at that start. Let's see how really close he was on that. There's 3, 2, 1, still no boat in the picture. Well, okay, he was over by maybe 2 boat lengths, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, 1 boat length.
But if you can show that again, Villwock Villwock gave a little hip check to John Theoret there. Because now if you look at Villwock, he's away from the buoy. He went into that corner right next to the buoy, but yet he was out of it. And that's called bearing out, trying to push the guy on the outside a little farther out. You know, if you look, what I want people to look at is watch how far that boat travels in 1 second. Okay, he's over. Okay, there's, now watch, and he's gone. Okay, so that is a great shot to demonstrate how hard this is. Look how far that boat traveled in 1 second.
Well, when you're running a football field a second, 300 feet per second with these boats, you know, that's a long distance to go in 1 tick of the clock.
It took Rabel about 30 seconds to run that far.
Absolutely, and don't you ever forget it either. There's Dave Villwock, excuse me, the winner, and happy to do so, of Heat 2B here at Seafair. Coming back to the finger pier here at the Stan Sayers pits to be greeted by his Elam crew. And I guess, Mike, you have to say that boat ran just exactly the way he'd hoped it would.
Yeah, it really did. If he got clean water, he would take a victory. If he didn't get clean water, second place would have been satisfactory. But the order of finish indicates that there was no infraction on the orange boat for bearing out. Had he gotten a little bit closer to the checkerboard beacon plumbing, that might have been a different story for the officials. But just the jumping of the gun and the 1-lap penalty on the 17 boat for Kip Brown is the only infraction here.
He was real close, though, to getting an infraction. I'd say any more at all, and they would have had to make a call. It'd be interesting to hear if John Theoret says anything about that hip check.
Well, and right now, let's check out Dave Villwock with our Bill Rocky down at the pits.
Thanks, Steve. Dave, great start and great finish.
Yeah. Well, the Elstrom team did a great job. And like I say, we're racing for the Ronald McDonald's house, so the old mean days back out. Everybody's gonna draw blood every heat this weekend, and just race as hard as I possibly can to try to win some money for those kids.
You did have a strategy there at the start of that. You wanted the inside, right?
Yeah, I was messing with those John Theoret. I haven't messed with anybody for a few years, so like I say, the old days back, I'm gonna start messing with anybody who walks and anybody who talks around here.
You know, now he's gonna be messing with you.
Well, let him try and catch me.
All right, Dave. Steve, let's go back up to you.
We've got some, they're throwing down the challenges here. Let's hear from the Theoret pit right now. Head over there to guard.
Well, Giannis,